this episode of Uncommon Philanthropist, you'll meet my friend Bob Koncerak, a Rotarian and a true uncommon philanthropist. A banker by profession, Bob has used his unique skills and heart to help bring an innovative Down syndrome occupational therapy center to life in Pelotas, Brazil. This center serves children and families with Down syndrome. They call it APADPEL, Down Syndrome Learning Center, short for the Association for Parents of Down Syndrome, Pelotas. You don't want to miss this one. Solte, let's let go in Brazil. Are recording and we are rolling. Bob Koncerak.
Good morning.
Cheers. Welcome to Uncommon Philanthropist.
How cool.
I know.
Thank you for having me.
So welcome to the studio. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you. We've connected through our Rotary Club.
Mm-hmm.
And right away we had some international connections, and we both have that heart for service. I'd love to talk more about some of the projects you've worked on and just kind of the whole idea of being an uncommon philanthropist, and that it's really incumbent on all of us to do something, right? If we all do a little bit something, we can make the world a better place in doing that.
I was thinking about what you've called this on the drive over here, because uncommon philanthropy, until I thought about it, I always thought, okay, philanthropy is some rich guy writing a check.
Exactly.
Okay, that's philanthropy. Well, then I'm thinking, well, that's not what I do. I'm part of an organization, well, actually several different organizations, one of which is Rotary, that is a remarkable organization with remarkable leverage. So long as you can navigate it and figure out how it works.
Exactly.
It's amazing what you can accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole idea of, I don't know, if I'm characterized as some kind of a philanthropist, that's a different perception than I've ever had before.
Yeah. Well, when I was brainstorming ideas for the name, philanthropy kept coming up. And I had the same thought too, that a philanthropist is a wealthy person.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked into, what is the definition of philanthropy? And the root word is love of humanity.
Huh. Okay.
And I'm like, that is it.
Uh-huh.
It's about loving one another well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about money. I think a lot of people when they think about serving or giving or philanthropy, they think primarily about money. But it's about lending your expertise, lending your prayers, being kind. I mean, it's a much more all-encompassing definition. And that's kind of what I'm doing, is I'm challenging the norm, the philanthropy brand, to make it much more broader and much more inclusive.
You're certainly redefining it. Yeah, I'd say so. At least in what my perception was before I drove over here.
Okay. Well, there we go. One person converted. And even the word philanthropist, people have a hard time saying it. They've never really said it.
Mm-hmm.
They know what it means. It's kind of in their head. But we just want people to be claiming that I'm a philanthropist, but of the uncommon kind, the everyday person.
It's almost one of those things that you'd prefer somebody else to define you as that, as opposed to saying it yourself. I don't know.
No, I'm claiming it for myself.
I'm just grateful the Lord takes care of fools like me. That's my story.
Much about, where it all began.
Well, from Pittsburgh. My family moved from Pittsburgh to Atlanta in 2000. The girls were 11, 9, and 4. And in my so-called career, I've mostly done financial services, some aspect of finance and in corporations. I mean, from Pittsburgh, I had to spend some time in the steel industry, being of a certain age. But I moved to Mellon Bank in, 1990 something, and got recruited to what was then Wachovia. And so,
what was the hope on your heart when you were a young man? What did you want to be?
Oh goodness, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I really don't. I'm interested in too many things. I enjoy a lot of stuff, and so I don't think I've I haven't really done a job search in decades. It's more of, hey, what are you doing now? And sometimes it's I'm minding my own business, or or hey, I'm looking for something I'd like to do next or more. But I don't. I mean, my background is I was raised in a with a wonderful family, 4 boys, and um, just a very I would just say maybe a blue collar Pittsburgh. My dad built the house that we grew up in with his own 2 hands. It almost killed him twice, but it was a very nice home, and um, it was just an area where nobody had anything. Everybody knew nobody had anything, and nobody put on airs,
Exactly.
or you were called to account for it pretty quick. And when we moved to Atlanta in 2000, it was such a different culture.
Mm-hmm.
And our girls were young, and I was kind of concerned of what we were driving into. I mean,
Yeah.
at being a financial services guy, it was pretty quickly shown to me that Atlanta had more bankruptcies per capita during that period of time than any other.
Oh, really?
Yeah, any other city in the country. Everybody lived in a big fancy box, and
Yeah.
you had a big fancy box and a sea of big fancy boxes, and there were, everybody had these dinosaur-sized, Lexuses or BMWs going up and down 75, and I'm like, well, this is different than where I came from, but I've been grateful.
Yeah.
And
I
and
know
just be
my
careful.
sister from Wyoming came to visit, and we had curtains in our garage.
Mhm, mhm.
She thought that was the most pretentious thing to have curtains in your garage, but it was just sheer, so it matched the rest of the.
Yeah, but then you
That's
go on,
Atlanta, though. Curtains in your garage. I guess that is not the norm.
then you go on international experience, like you've been in Tanzania,
Mhm.
and they look at you with wonder and say, you Americans, you have houses for your cars.
Exactly.
We don't even have houses for us, and you have houses. It's like, wow.
Right. I was the place we stay in Tanzania. I always travel with 2 pair of glasses,
Mm-hmm.
and because I just set them down, I can't find them.
Yeah.
And I asked Dennis, one of the guys that served the place where we stayed, I couldn't find my glasses. I said, have you found a pair of glasses? And I had a pair on.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, they're on your face. I was like, no, I have another pair. And that's why he was like, you have 2?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow.
When we did my daughter and I, my youngest daughter and I, we called it the ultimate daddy-daughter day. We climbed Kilimanjaro in 2016. And
Amazing.
got to be really good friends with our lead guide, and talk to some folks. We talked with all of them, the crew, on the way up, and 7 days up and 2 days down. And I'll never forget. In fact, I wrote an article when we got back about things we learned from there. And one of the assistant crew leaders said, when did you start planning this trip? When did you start planning? And I told him I'd wanted to do it for years, and so I really started talking about it in 2010, and in 2012 I picked a touring company and learned about it, and then kind of put some things in place, and was going to go with a friend of mine, and he developed a health issue, so I went with my daughter, and he just looked, and he was shaking his head, and he said, "You Americans can plan. You can say, I'm going to do this here and then there and then there." He said, when I come down off this mountain, they'll give me maybe $75 for having, including your tip, for having brought you to the top and brought you down. He said, I don't know that I'll be working 6 months from now. I don't know where I'll be 6 months from now. He said, I can't begin to imagine a life where. That was humbling. Just when you realize, wow, this is so different than the experience most people have on the face of the planet. We have won the demographic lottery.
Yet they are infinitely more joyful than we are, for the most part.
Yeah, it's relevant to whatever your context is. You are what you know. You're a creature of your experience. So yeah, it is a difference in how they perceive the benefits of somebody coming around them, and if you want to call it philanthropy or whatever. But it's a matter of ambition is a personal thing. You can choose to make the most of what you have, or you can choose to say it's somebody else's fault.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So has philanthropy or serving always been part of your life?
Maybe in some form or other. I mean, mine's always kind of been the village idiot approach. Hey, I have this thing. Take a look at this thing. Doesn't this look interesting to you? What would you do with this? And with the project in Africa, we went back in 2016. I just joined Rotary, and so I left my card at a local hotel that had a Rotary sign. And the club president called me a couple months later and said, "How come you didn't come see us?" And he said, "You have to come back. You have to come back." I said, "Okay, what do you want us to come back for?" And he said, "Well, we'll take good care of you, and you can bring some money. Let's go do something. We have all these different projects." And I thought, it's always nice to be invited.
Yeah.
And so I talked to a couple of folks and spoke about it at the club. And Jerry Umansky and a couple of folks said, "I'll go with you. I'll go with you." And so we went over there, and we took some money over for drilling a well at a school. And everybody put laptops in their luggage, and we took laptops over and helped them with a computer library. I think that certainly triggered something. The leverage of the American dollar and the leverage of an organization that does this all over the world, that was astonishing. And then I had met a girl way back in high school, and I went back to visit her in Brazil in 2019, and she has a Down syndrome son, Vinicius Centeno. And we went and spent time at an organization where he gets occupational therapy and training and learns mental acuity, that sort of thing. And I was just amazed that these women, all volunteers, they were changing the lives of these Down syndrome persons. And y'all know about Rotary? Ever, with all the stuff you're doing, I don't want to change anything you're doing, but can we help you do more of it?
Mm-hmm.
And so several of us were on a trip near a lake, and March 14th of 2021, we were together at Laranjal and said a prayer by the lake and said, "Lord, this is an amazing group of ladies, and it seems like if I'm here for a reason, there's a way to help these folks do more of what they're doing and put a smile on your face. If there's a way to do that, please show us how."
So it was not a strategic decision to go in and find a project or.
Oh no, it was just a big healthy dose of divine intervention. And exactly 3 years later, March 14th of 2024, there was a big old celebration for a Down syndrome training and education center that came out of the ground. And the city council and the city gave them the land, and all these different people pitched in, and the Rotary Club down there did amazing things. And they have been so successful, the clubs down there, and it's turned into be just, it's gotten to be so successful and so knocked out of the park. Nobody who gets close to it can look at that project and say that God had something to do with that. And it's just, it's remarkable.
So the name of the facility is?
Well, it's the Association of Parents of Downs Persons in Pelotas. So the acronym is called APADPEL in their lingo.
APADPEL.
Yeah. And it's really been a remarkable opportunity to bring in Rotary. And in any venture like this, success has 1,000 fathers, but failure is an orphan. So it's one of those things where they knew how to bring in other folks and put logos on it and raise money and that sort of thing, and have them champion it. And so once the train was leaving the station, And it was so unusual. It was an easy way for a number of organizations to distinguish themselves and become part of something that's working really well.
So the organization, did it consist primarily of, were these women mothers?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Power of mothers with children with Down syndrome.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Because it is the way, the quickest way I can explain it is Down syndrome is, there's a third gene on the 21st chromosome, and there are some physical presentations, physical, that you can tell somebody has Down syndrome, their eyes, their lips, their stature. But the challenge of it is a Down syndrome baby's brain is born, in almost all cases, perfectly normal. It's born perfect, but when the baby comes out of the birth canal, parts of the brain are, the only way to explain it is they're born in idle. Okay, parts of the brain aren't turned on. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden, baby opens his eyes, synapses going off all over the place, and it's kind of like theirs are short circuiting in certain places. And so somewhere in the 1980s or so, I think it was USC or somebody over in the Carolinas started a study of autism and some of the things that create autism and how to get around it. And they came up with this therapy that no drugs, no surgery, if you have focus exercises for a newborn, and these dynamic balancing exercises to move them off balance that lights up the finer motor nerves. You light up these different parts of the brain just by making the kid think and do intense things. And it completely changes the trajectory of their lives. The earlier you get them, the more of an impact it makes. And the mothers who've joined this now with middle-aged kids or adult kids, mm-hmm. they're like, it's too late. But however, if I can help somebody else, or the parent or family that has a Down syndrome baby, oh, no, I don't need that help. I'll be fine. The denial part of it is just tragic, because then the guilt that comes out of that. And so they see the difference that they're making, and they know it works. And so they've blown that organization up.
If you can paint a picture of what the center looks like now, maybe a before and after picture, like what did the center look like? And then
it was a field.
Okay.
It was a big piece of ground.
Okay.
And that's part of the really fascinating element of this is when the Rotary Club of Pelotas West, Rotary Oeste, went and visited at our, hey, would you guys check this out? They went and spent 2 weeks with them. And then they called me back and said, hey, we really like these folks. They already have a relationship with the city. They're an accredited, beneficial organization to the city. If your club up there will partner with us, we think we can really help them. We think this is an amazing group. Okay, what do you want? They need a building. Well, I thought we were just going to go, structure some programs for them, but because Rotary Global Grants don't build buildings, they do services. And so we went to the city council and we went down and met with the mayor and met with all sorts of officials. And they knew the organization and they knew the reputation that Rotary had. And so I met with the mayor one day, Paula Mascaras, and she looked at me and she said, these are remarkable women. These are formidable women. They're credited. They know what they're doing. And we're willing to help you, but don't make me look bad. Yeah, I will do anything we can, but don't promise something you can't deliver on, because they're talking about land and a building and programs and all these different. And so I said, I'll do my best. So at the grand opening last year, I reminded Mayor Mascaras. I said, remember that? I said, I think we did okay. Because it was a plan. One of the club members was an architect. Actually, the member was a retired judge. His son was an architect, so he volunteered his son, who became kind of the COO for the whole building project. And And they went to the city, and the city said, if you guys are really serious, there's one of 5 different plots of land. Pick the one you want. Okay. And then the head of city council and a bunch of the council members began to come to the fundraisers. Really? And then the corporation started to get involved. And it was, hey, Gringo, are you coming down again? Are you coming down again? So I went and talked to a bunch of clubs around here. And ultimately, we had like 15 or 16 different clubs from several different districts that all threw some money in a hat and approved a grant for programs and stuff. And then we raised a fair amount of money through the polar bear plunge and other stuff, and sent them some cash. And they started construction, because construction costs are there. This whole 6,000 square foot complex and all the different things that go in it, the construction cost all in is about $300,000, poured concrete and everything. Well, you couldn't put anything like that together around here for less than $2.5 million, $3 million. So the whole concept of what construction costs, what land costs, and the Brazilian reais is one of the most undervalued currencies on the planet. So all these things just kind of came together in a very interesting soup.
So, like, I've been on their Instagram page, and it looks like they are doing some really fun things. And the center looks amazing. So it's like, what kinds of things are they doing there? It's like classrooms, hands-on activities.
Yeah, it is. It's occupational therapy. They've got a nice kitchen.
Okay.
Training. What I originally thought, the whole thing I thought was around occupational therapy, independent living, learning to live on your own. Because 15, 20 years ago in Brazil, there was no accommodation for a Down syndrome person in any kind of public school. They didn't go to school. There was no accommodation for them. And so Brazil, like a lot of countries, it's half day. You're either in the morning or in the afternoon. And so these ladies are like, okay, if you're in the morning over there, you're over here in the afternoon. And if you're in the afternoon, you're here in the morning. They had programs in their rented quarters. But they would teach them colors, teach them to read, teach reading comprehension, how to write their names. And so the whole idea of occupational therapy and repetition, just to learn, to communicate, and then activities, physical exercise. The stature of a lot of Down syndromes are very solidly built. And so exercise and moving around, and they have heart issues. If they have a chronic issue, it's one of the most common elements of it is a heart defect. And so just getting them athletic was a big deal. And so the whole idea of the dormitories, I went down there once when the mayor was going to hand over the deed to this property. And okay, let's go have a little ceremony. It'll be nice. And there were like 300 people there.
Wow.
And I'm like, what are you? And they said, look, they said, you don't understand. No one does things like this for our community, for our special community. And so these were all the families. And they said, if you're doing this for, tell us what you need. And when you have all of a sudden not 30 or 40, but 400, 500, just you let us know what you need, because if you are taking care of these kids or these adults, you're changing our lives. And so if you have an apartment or a dormitory for them to go live in, to learn independent living, it's a respite for the families as well. Because hey, these people are dependent on us for everything. And you're going to go create an opportunity. Your organization is going to have a community around them. Hey, Gringo, tell us what you need. That blew me away, as you can tell.
That's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure when when I asked you that question, what did you see your life being like? I'm sure you would have never in your wildest dreams thought about.
Oh, no.
Something as just out of the blue sky, but you just, I don't know. My tagline for Uncommon Philanthropist is let go. And sometimes you just have to be willing to, when y'all prayed that prayer, it was just, and then step by step, it unfolded on what what you needed to do, but you had to be the one willing to let go of your time, your money. I know you've invested a ton of time flying to Brazil, coordinating all of this, but the payoff, I can see it in your eyes. It has to be just a highlight of your life to be involved with something like this.
It's been a privilege. I don't know if everybody defines it this way. My foundation of Christianity has me appreciative. You know, I was a special needs borderline student in elementary school. I didn't talk until I was just about 7 years old.
No way.
And now they can't shut me up. Yeah, I was, I should have been held back several grades, but my mother made him kick me into 6th grade, 7th grade. He'll be fine. Let him go. And so my Christian lens, yeah, I mean, to me is, okay, we prayed a prayer, and okay, God said yes. And any number of people will look at what you did. Look at what you did. You talk about letting go. Okay. I'm going to go do these things. Okay. I can help. I can express enthusiasm. I'm a banker. I can put paperwork together and that sort of thing. But God just knocked it out of the park with this. The opening prayer for the day of celebration is, Lord, let every person that comes in here put a smile on your face. And may they all know where this came from. Because no one who gets close to that project, especially in Brazil, there's a father and son that are in my men's small group, and they're from Sao Paulo. And he said, nothing like this happens in Brazil. I mean, the state of Rio Grande do Sul is funding the finishing elements of the construction. And they said, we like the program, we like the curriculum, run it for a couple of years, and we need to do more of this. If we like your program and we like what you're doing, and these ladies continue working this way, we're going to help you build 5 more.
Whoa.
It is. It's just, what? Where does that come from? I mean, that's not Bob. Bob didn't say, hey, let's go do that. No.
Yeah, but you brought belief and energy and hope and connections. You got the ball rolling.
I guess. Yeah, sure. And my name's on it, and I guess that's nice. That's fine. But
and for charitable purposes, that is a huge win. And that's where so many charitable projects fail, is because there is not a plan for what happens so that they own it.
Oh yeah.
So that is beautiful. And I'm sure God designed it and how it becomes sustainable long term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. These Rotary Global grants we talk about. Okay. The most fundamental element is the community assessment. Is this something that you're imposing because you think it's a good idea? Or who in the community is championing this? Where is this coming from? And I think if there was one element of this that I think really empowered these ladies is, what are you going to tell us what to do? How are you going to drive this? And I'm like, I don't want to change anything. There's nothing about what you're doing that we should change. We just want to help you do more of it. And that was kind of hard for them to believe. Like, what?
Yeah.
And like, that's because it's a group of formidable women. They knew what they were doing. They knew the difference they were making. And so if you're helping someone do what's already on their heart to do, that's a whole lot easier than trying to change it to fit what you think they should be doing.
Yeah. Well, I learned that World Down Syndrome Day is March 21st. And the theme of this year's day is improve our support systems. That is a global cry from that community. Improve our support systems. And the work you have done in Brazil, I mean, that is square in the bullseye. That's what you've done.
Yeah, March 21st, 321, the third gene on the 21st chromosome. That's how that come to be.
That's so beautiful. Well, I know your time is short. I could sit here and chat with you forever. But as I mentioned, the theme for Uncommon Philanthropist is let go. So if you can give me a rousing let go, and then just unpack that a little bit about how in terms of philanthropy, why is letting go so important?
Well, first off, let go. Okay. What does success look like? If you're starting a project, be it a business project, a philanthropic project, a Christian, whatever, what does success look like? If you can divine those elements between four corners of one piece of paper, and everybody looks at it and says, "Yeah, that's what we're looking to do," then everybody's driving towards the same end. To say that, I mean, everybody, the longer you're around, the more you realize nothing ever works out the way you expected it to. But hang on, it's going to be entertaining. I guess maybe letting go is not having any preconceived notions unnecessarily of what the outcome is going to be. Mm-hmm. That old Ronald Reagan thing, it's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. That sort of a thing. Because I think the key to success in an effort like this is doing everything you can to shine a light on somebody else. You're making them look good. You're lighting them up. You're giving them opportunities. I think in my experience, it works better that way.
Right. And I think, we are born selfish. It's all about us. Mm-hmm. But at some point, if you can switch it so that you're outward focused, you let go of yourself mm-hmm. and focus on how can we love other people better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's where life gets really good.
Mm-hmm. Rick Warren wrote an amazing book a bunch of years ago. And The Purpose-Driven Life. And the opening line is, "It's not about you."
Is it really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not about you. Thank you, Bob, for what you do and for how you serve, and just you just have a tenacity and a knack for getting things done. So,
well, thank you for inviting me. It's a privilege, and congratulations on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Let go.
Hey. Let it go. Let it go.
No, let go.
Oh, let go.
Let go. You got a meeting to go to, speaking of let go.
I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure.